Hello, Miss Denise Ramon, whose information is down below in the description box and will be on the screen as well. We've got my lovely son, Erik, who is on the other side, who's helping us with the second interview with Joseph Stalin. Interesting character. So, as I
Yeah.
promised, we're going to talk about Stalin. Thank you for remaining your sole contract with Russia and perhaps even the whole collective. What was the purpose of the horror show that you brought to the world?
Oh, I know. He just didn't, his energy when he was here didn't feel very good to me
Hmm.
at all. He says, it wasn't his sole contract prior to incarnating. This is who he was going to be.
Oh,
But what I get is though, he tells me at one time he wanted to become a doctor.
woo. Wow.
And so, but it's like when he was here though, chain of events just changed his mind on how he wanted to go because he's shown me how he just saw how much easier it was to basically manipulate people because you could get them to do what you want and stuff. So that part, because he took that road, then yes, then this was the route that it was going to end up
Yeah.
being, for him. And what it he says, go on that route. He didn't come across as this um, what do you call it, this horrible individual, because he says you don't come across being horrible because you want to gather people's
Yeah.
affection, you want to get their attention, you
And the
want them to
support.
support,
Yeah.
yes, support, and you want them to worship you is basically what he's saying. So he was starting out nice, I guess, in a sense, and a little bit more leniency and saying, we're going to go do this because then all of you get to go to school or all of you are going to have free food or whatever the situation is. So he was getting people in because he said he learned at a young age if when you manipulate people, you can really bring them into your circle. And it's like what you're doing is he shows me you're pulling away their strengths so you can grab onto their weaknesses.
Oh, wow.
And so this is what he was doing. So he said, I don't think he really thought that it could go as far as it did.
Yeah.
Um, he was really trying to be the best of the dictators of all the other dictators,
Oh,
you know, and because it was like a competition.
yeah.
And he it was a game to him. He thrived on this stuff.
Well,
And
did you ever in a moment think to yourself, well, let's see, I've already killed 4 million people. Maybe I shouldn't keep going until the point where I kill 9 million. Did you ever like, wait,
no,
we're over the top, dude?
no, you don't. He says, no, you don't think that. And he says, first of all, nobody comes and tells you that
No. But I mean,
because
in
they
your
would be
own
next.
thoughts. Yeah, really.
No, no.
Okay.
He says, because in his thoughts, he wasn't counting numbers in that way. He was counting numbers in the opposite way of how he had better control of things. He was able to dictate when to turn your lights off, when to turn them off, when to walk the street, when to not walk the street. And, and for him, it's that's what he wanted because that way he felt, I don't know, it's like he felt safe, he said. But I'm like, well, and I'm just like, that's so crazy. Like, you have to have that in order to feel safe. But it's like he needed that. And it also, he thrived off of knowing that he could infuse that much fear into people.
Yeah. And that keeps you
And
safe.
sometimes he would,
People are too afraid
yeah.
to kill
And
you.
well, he says it does keep you safe. But at the same time, he was paranoid the whole time that somebody was after him.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure they
so,
were.
and Erik is asking him, is that because you knew what you were doing wasn't right. And he said, exactly. He knew that he was not well received because you still have a moment or two by yourself.
Mm.
And so you get to think, and he says, and you can tell that people are not your friends.
So basically, it wasn't like a spiritual contract devised prior to incarnation, kind of like Hitler did. It was more free will, and I bet you anything, the free will was guided by your mental illness and all the negative entity attachments that attach to you because of the mental illness. Is that what I'm hearing?
He said, exactly, because he says what happens is when you have this mental illness going on and it's left unattended,
Yeah.
and you're participating in even just a little bit of the activity he was participating in. And I feel like he idolized that stuff. Like if there was a word for it, it would be like somebody who was addicted to porn, but he was
Yeah.
addicted to this stuff.
Mm.
There was an internet, he would have been flipping through all that. But it's like, so when you're in that, he says, you're just open season for anything to come in, anything to come in.
All right, what's the purpose of communism versus a democracy?
Well, he says
Mind.
the purpose of communism is that he says it's about control, dictatorship. You can say it's to make everything fair, so everybody has housing, food, education, whatever. But that isn't what it's about. It's about um, control. The power is what he says. It's about power, and he says there is nobody in. He says there's nobody that's in leadership of communism that is coming from a place of love. There's nobody.
Well, I mean, when they had communism, I mean, it's kind of like the boiling the frog. The frog gets in the water and the temperature, goes up slowly and slowly until it boils and they die instead of being cast right into it and die immediately. So just like Maduro, I mean, you first promise him all sorts of free stuff. Yay, we'll vote for you, vote for you. Then he takes away your guns, so you're not able to defend yourself again. And then all of a sudden you have price caps and then you have scarcity, you have starvation, etc. That's what communism is all about. It's basically socialism, but with autocracy, with a dictator. That came from my husband last night. Anyway, so do you prefer a democracy? If you were to incarnate into a country, would it be a democratic one, or socialist one, um, or a communist one? Probably
He said he
social
said
social democrat, rather. Sorry.
yeah. I don't know that. He said democratic would be better. He says, but it's like what he hopes is that we get to a place where we're all coming to a place of compassion. He says, to where we care about one another. And he says the main thing is that he says nobody thinks there's enough.
Mm.
So
But
that's why
scarcity
we're
is an
all,
illusion, people.
yeah. Well, he says it is an illusion, but when you don't have food for weeks on weeks,
Mm.
it's real. And I guess the reason why he's saying that is because that's what happened with him,
Yeah.
when he was in office or whatever you want to call it. That's what's happening now in these other countries with all of this. It's just not, and he says it's a game. He says it's entertainment for the people who are in that mindset. It's entertainment.
Okay. So I want to ask Erik this question. Is it true? I mean, in my mind, in my intuition, I don't think the United States is a democracy, or even a representative democracy or anything like that. It's almost like we're being ruled by these people, these oligarchs. Is that true? Or is it truly a representative democracy?
No, it isn't a true representative of democracy, and that's why it's so bent out of shape and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's going the way it's going, but yet the consciousness or the people, whatever you want to call it, is really trying to get it back to democracy, to get it to where it was had intended to be.
By the founding fathers?
Um, when you say that, I get like there was some
Probably some
loopholes in
things
there.
that, yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
There's
that's
some
what he's telling me.
ideas of
Yeah.
theirs that were not good. Um, what was I gonna say? I had a thought and um, oh, are we being ruled by like unelected bureaucrats mostly or elected officials?
But
What percent of each?
are we being ruled by what now? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. What's the percentage of the ones governing the country? Elected people or unelected bureaucrats?
Wow. So Erik says we're being ruled by elected bureaucrats,
Unelected or elected?
elected,
Oh, okay.
but they are being the majority of them, not all,
Yeah.
but the majority of them are being guided by the unelected ones.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. Will Russia, this is for Stalin, ever experience true freedom, the true freedom of democracy in the future? Ever, ever?
He, Erik and him both said yes,
Oh, how is that
but
going to come to pass?
but you and I probably won't see that.
Yeah.
But yes, they will.
I hope
It
so.
definitely will. Yeah.
Stalin, do you notice any similarities in between of your strategies of control in other countries right now? Like
Oh
China,
yes,
Iran, I mean, list some
all of them. All of them. He said all of them. All
Venezuela,
of them.
Cuba,
North Korea.
North Korea. Keep forgetting about that one. All right. What were the situations that led to your second wife taking her own life? I didn't know that.
Um, he shows me she had depression, but I also feel like her depression, she knew to keep her mouth shut because he's going like this with her. She knew to keep her mouth shut. And I don't think that she was in awe with his behavior. I don't feel like the marriage was one where they dated and fell in love and got married. I feel like it was more of a this. It was more you better do this type
Oh
thing.
gosh. Almost like an arranged marriage or forced arranged marriage.
Pretty much, and I feel like it was something like that. And I just feel like that was her way out. That was her way to get out. She just couldn't do it anymore.
Did you meet both of your wives and children in the afterlife? If so, how was that reunion?
Yes, he did. And, you know, so, did his son die before him? Because he's shown me his son meeting him.
Oh yeah, the one that died in the concentration camp. Remember?
Yeah, because he's shown me his son met him,
Okay.
and that's who he met, and that's where he shows me how they embraced, and I felt like a lot of healing went on then
Okay.
with that. Um, but then, of course, yes, he met up with his with all the other family members, and of course, as Erik has said, there's no judgment, just
Yeah.
love and compassion. But it was, I felt like they like we're going to sit here and support you so you can really see what you've done, so to speak, so that we can all be a part of the plan to help heal it.
Okay. Did you meet those who, some at least of those who you killed or had killed?
Yes, he said I don't feel like he met them individually, so to
Yeah.
speak. It was more of a collectiveness, is how he's showing me.
Yeah.
But he's showing me how there's some of those souls, those groups, and that, you know, it's, he says it's almost like they signed up for that in a sense,
Oh,
to bring awareness. But I feel like some of those that signed up for that, they moved up the ladder in their
oh,
expansion.
good. Oh,
Like that was part of it. Like, you sign up for this to bring awareness to this. Because I feel like he killed like a lot of young people too.
man, no pain, no gain, I guess. What was your,
Yeah.
oh, did you meet Jesus yet?
Well, he says he's met Jesus, but he says Jesus isn't like, um and he says he knows he's going to get a lot of backlash for this, but Jesus isn't like the only one. Jesus was a messenger,
Mm.
and so he got to, yes, he knows who Jesus is and that, but he met others as well that were like Jesus, like
The
we're here way
ambassador.
before. Yeah, yeah, he's met those as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't feel like he met them right away because I feel like he needed to clean his front porch a little bit more
Well,
before the before that meeting took place, because they don't come down here. He has to go up there with them.
has to raise his vibration to,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. So what are your surroundings like in heaven?
Well, he says you can create whatever it is you want, and he says, and he likes to. He loves the. What he's showing me is like the mountains, like the. He showed me green mountains. He
Hmm.
really likes that around. He likes to hang out though with the pyramids because he says there's a lot going on with the pyramids,
Oh, wow.
and so he likes being around that energy and stuff. He likes being around that. um and he just really it's like he loves being in the frequency of mm, like just the joy, the laughter. He likes being in that because I don't think very many people saw him really laugh, a gut belly
Okay.
laugh from something funny.
All right. Was there one trigger, one big betrayal that led you to have such deep trust issues and the fear that somebody's going to kill you? Was one event or
Well, I feel like he says to me that he learned early on, and I feel like it was in his 20s or something, that some there was betrayal, and I feel like it was with a female, like some
oh,
guy betrayed him or something,
mm,
like a friend, and I don't know if, and it was with a woman, a female. So he learned then, like you just can't trust anybody.
okay.
And I feel like from there, it's like, and for me, I'm saying, how can that one thing just create this pit hole of stuff? But he says
It's like
you
a
just keep
snowball. Yeah.
feeding on that, and then with this, there's mental illness in
And
there.
then the
And I'm
negative
asking him,
entities telling him not to trust,
yes,
giving
and
him
I'm
bad
asking him, did
advice.
he drink? Did he drink? And I just don't feel like I don't feel like he drank a whole lot. I just
Okay.
don't feel like he did.
What was your life review like? We just got a couple more questions.
He laughs, and I feel like he's joking, but he says hell. Um, but he says, it was good though, because it's real important for us to see everything that we've done so that we can, it's like, so you can review it all and see it, so you can go back to the room. And I feel like like the drawing room or whatever it is, the room, so you can better negotiate what it is you want to do next time. So, or where you need to go get more training, where you need more development and stuff, is what he's showing me. And so it was very, he says, and it helped to heal the planet, because as you get to hear every little cry
and feel everybody's feeling, see all the horrors from their perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. He says, as you're doing that, you're in there helping to heal that too.
Okay.
So wow. It's, even though there's no such thing as time where he is,
yeah,
he says it still takes time. It's not like poof, it's done.
Yeah.
It takes, I feel like it took years to work through a lot of that.
Any message to, oh no, not that one yet. Have you reincarnated yet? Or do you plan to, if not?
He has not incarnated here. He has not, he says. Does he plan to incarnate? He says definitely he would like to, but he says you don't just get to just because you want to. It's right now, I feel like he tells me they're like being particular who gets to come back, because the people that come back have to have like a really solid purpose, in a sense, like for the good. But definitely he definitely wants to come back here and be a part of that. But I just don't feel like that's
no time soon.
No, I feel like that's not. Erik says like maybe 100 years from now, you know. Okay. Yeah, but I do feel like he goes to other places because can more in galactic wise helping, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you believe in aliens when you were a human?
No.
Okay, what can you talk about another lifetime that impacted this last one, as Stalin?
He said he was a caveman one time.
Really?
That's what he said. Yeah, he said he was a caveman, and you know, there wasn't a whole lot of order going on there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he said that had an impact, you know. He said that had an, but he was a caveman.
Were you Neanderthal earlier than that? Cro-Magnon?
I feel like he was a Neanderthal because the way he looks and that feels like that. Yeah.
So how does that have anything to do with your life as Stalin?
You know, he said, you know, that there really wasn't, and he said it wasn't that everything was in a disarray or unorderly, but you know, there always had to be someone to do things. But it's like, I just don't feel like he was ever one of those people that gave orders, so to speak. But I just feel like it played a part. And he said that he was a caveman. That's so wild.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So what were you? What was your role in your tribe? And were you male or female?
He was male.
Okay.
He was the fetcher. He said he's the one that had to go get things. He's the one that had to
okay. So you
bring the food. Bring the food.
Low on the totem pole? The pecking order?
He said, you know, that's probably how it's viewed now, you know, but he says that's not how it was viewed, because everybody had a position.
Okay.
You know, but his was, you know, he had to go get food for everyone. And I don't think that was a easy task.
Did you hunt to get food?
Oh yeah, you had to hunt. Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Last question for you, Mr. Stalin. Any message to the world that we live in now?
He said the best thing you can do is step out of your fear, because people see your fear. And he says, and that is the one thing that is being watched is our fear. If everybody, or even half the people or whatever, he said, would step out of their fear, it would really change things even quicker.
Yeah.
In the
Live
direction
life
that,
in love, not fear, and all of its facets, like
yes.
hate.
And he says the whole world wants what you and I have.
Yeah.
They want what you and I want, even though they're in places where they can't even comprehend what we have, but they want that peace. They want that nurturing. They want enough. They want that love and stuff.
All right. Well, thank you, Joseph Stalin, for answering, and I hope we gave you a voice and that helps you.
He thanks you. He says for bringing him forward. He says he feels very honored because he understands that his life, when his last life here, is not one that hardly anybody wants. So he appreciates that Erik asked him to come forward. He appreciates that.
So what do you think about my boy, Erik?
I feel like he has some DNA still here, like some
Oh, I'm sure.
great grandkids
Yeah, I
or
bet.
great nephews or some. I feel like they're still around. The way he talks, and I feel like some of them even like change their name because they don't want to be
Yeah.
associated with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think
Yeah.
about my boy, Erik, who brought you here?
He's got his arm around him and he says, and Erik's really big, like tall, like very muscular, even right now. And he says, you can't say enough about him because he sees what Erik is doing for the world and what you are doing, because he can feel the energy going around. And this is why he felt very honored to be a part of this, because he does get people that want to bring him in for not the goodness, for good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't come into that.
Okay. All right. And thank you, Erik, for doing that. Thank you, Denise Ramon. Also, we love you all. Guys, hit the like button so we get better algorithms, and be sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. I love all of you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.